Good evening. Welcome to Tuesday, March 8th, 2022, regular Riverhead School Board meeting. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session? Thank you, Colin. Could I have a second? Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Can we please stand for the pledge? And while you're standing, could we please have a moment of silence for those over in the Ukraine? I pledge allegiance. Thank you. We're going to have our recognition of retirees. Okay. So, whereas the Riverhead Central School District Board of Education would like to recognize the following retirees for their years of dedicated and exceptional service. Edna Atkins, school bus monitor, retired on January 11th, 2022. After completing 17 years of service, Edna demonstrates true passion for her job and compassion for the students each day. She maintains great communications with the driver, ensures the safety of all students, and has a positive relations with them. We got Joan Hackle, cook, retired on January 14th, 2022. After completing 29 years of service, Joan is an outstanding employee. She goes above and beyond every day. She loves working with the kids, and she will be greatly missed by her Roanoke Avenue family. Daniel Ramirez, custodial worker 1, retired January 7th, 2022. After completing 28 years of service, Daniel is conscientious and hardworking. He is very knowledgeable. He is always willing to lend a hand and does extra work when needed. Luann Rocco, senior office assistant, retired January 30th, 2022. After completing 20 years of service, she has a positive attitude, is a pleasure to work with, and always comes to work with a smile. She has an explanatory work ethic, displays professionalism, and has been an invaluable resource. Camille Schauder, retired January 14, 2022. After completing 17 years of service, she is a hard worker and an invaluable member of the team. She ensures the safety of all students and staff. Camille takes the time to know the students and develops an excellent rapport with them. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education that having accepted the resignations for retirement purposes of Edna Atkins, Joan Hackle, Daniel Ramirez, and Camille Schroeder, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education takes great pleasure in recognizing these retirees and herewith expresses its sincere gratitude for the invaluable effort and work they have done for the Riverhead Central School District, and be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the permanent minutes of the board and the copies be given to each of the retirees to share with their families. Congratulations. Okay, so who's here? Joan is here. So Joan, can you come up front? We're going to move on to public comments on agenda items. Anybody in the public have any comments on agenda items? Not seeing any. We're going to go to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Downs. Tonight we have exciting presentations and recognitions as well. So we're going to start with our Blue Wave recognition, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kerner. Oh, okay. I apologize. That's going to be on March 22nd. Okay, thank you very much. All right. So we're going to move on to our ELA presentation. So Ms. Casamas, if you are ready, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Education for the opportunity to present this information, and thank you to the members of the Board of Education and to District Office for supporting our students and teachers. The first slide, oops, sorry, I have to do this. Oh, it is, yes. Can you hear me? Yeah, oh, okay. As stated on the first slide, the model of instruction that kind of frames all of the programs that we use in our district is one is the gradual release of responsibility instructional framework, and it suggests that cognitive work should shift slowly and intentionally from teacher modeling to joint responsibility between teachers and students to independent practice and application by the learner, which is really the hallmark of instruction. And this slide also illustrates this. We begin with focused instruction, which is teachers leading instruction, engaging students in the learning, establishing the purpose of a lesson, and then moving on to teachers guiding as students participate. Moving on then to collaborative instruction, where students work together to consolidate and apply their understanding of the concepts. And then finally, the hallmark of instruction, our ultimate goal, which is for students to be able to independently apply information, content, ideas, and skills. And throughout this process, of course, the teacher is providing actionable, goal-oriented feedback, which research indicates has a high impact on instruction. The ELA programs in our K-6 are also, as I said before, utilizing this research-based release of responsibility framework. So when introducing new concepts, the responsibility is primarily the teachers in the beginning, and as the learners acquire knowledge, the intellectual weight shifts to the students. In our K-6 buildings, the components, as I said before, of all of these programs are direct instruction, guided practice, collaborative work, and then independent application. We use the American Reading Company, Fountas and Pinnell Classroom, Teachers College units of reading, Teachers College units of writing. We also, at our K-6 buildings, have intervention programs which are implemented by reading specialists and the elementary specialists. We have the Sonde system, which employs Orton-Gillingham strategies. It's a multi-sensory reading instruction program focusing on word learning. We have leveled literacy intervention, which is a supplemental intervention that provides intensive small group instruction focusing on word work and comprehension skills that then transfer to authentic text. We have strategy groups, which is targeted skill work focusing on skills such as decoding, phrasing, automaticity, summarizing, inferring, and analyzing. In our 7 and 8 grades, we have a core curriculum that's literature-based, reading and writing units of study encompassing short stories, poems, novels, and speech. The scope and sequence was developed by middle school teachers. It's guided by the New York State Next Generation ELA Learning Standards. Essential questions guide each lesson. For example, one of the questions might be, how do authors use literacy elements, devices to convey meaning, mood, and intent? And then those questions are unpacked using skills such as analyzing text, text structure, and determining importance. We also, in the 7th and 8th grade, have an intervention, which is the ELA-X class. So it's a supplemental class with a smaller enrollment, where teachers focus on specific skills like in communication with the classroom teachers. Some of the classes are also taught by a reading specialist who is trained in level literacy intervention. She adapts that framework to support her students. In grades 9 through 12, we have a core curriculum that's literature and skill-based, encompassing short stories, poems, novels, the writing genres of narrative, informational, and argumentative writing. We have English 9 and English 10 honors. English 9 honors, English 10, and English 10 honors, English 11, English 12, AP Language and Composition, AP Literature and Composition. We also have electives. Some of them include communication writing, creative writing, the women's experience, and then we have an intervention, which is an AIS class that also is focusing on targeted skills for students who need supplemental instruction. Okay, I have to take a drink here. All of our teachers also use and implement formative and summative assessments. And we know that we need to be responsive to our students. And the research indicates that when we monitor and assess our students and their reading behaviors and identify their strengths and possibilities for growth, it has a high impact on student achievement. Much of the research, which has been done by John Hattie, which is a meta-analysis, says that the effect sizes for formative assessment are very, very high. Some of the assessments that teachers use are exit tickets, anecdotal notes, running records, quizzes. We also assess all of our K-8 students with the iReady assessments, and that is a summative assessment. So these are just some of the assessments we use to guide our instruction and be responsive to the students, because we know that all students, there's not one path, but there's one path. We need to differentiate the instruction based on the needs of our students, and we can only do that if we assess our students on an ongoing basis through both formative and summative assessments. The next few slides describe the summative data that we use to inform our instruction to monitor the progress of our students. We have the iReady reports, and what we do is we assess students 3 times a year. So this report is called the growth report, and we assess our students. We have assessed the students in the fall, we've assessed them in the winter, and this is the percent of our students in grades 1 through 6 that are showing improvement. We don't have the kindergarten here because the first assessment we do for kindergarten is in January, so we don't have a growth report for our kindergarten students. These are the percent of the students showing improvement from the fall to the winter. And then the second column is the percent of students meeting a benchmark, and that is determined by iReady. And what that is, it's how a student is progressing compared to the average student growth at the same grade and baseline placement level across the United States. So based on what grade the students are in and where they placed in the fall, there's like a typical growth that they should be making. So these are the percent of our students who have made that typical growth. The next slide is the New York State ELA trend data. We have data from 2018, 2019, and 2021. It's the percent of our students in grades 3 to 8 who have scored proficient. The final data slide is the ELA Regents trend data, and that is also from 2018, 2019, and 2021. We have the percent of our students who scored at levels 3, 4, and 5, and the percent at levels 4 and 5 for those 3 years, and the frequency distribution for our district aligns with our regional data. So thank you for supporting our students in their journey to becoming lifelong readers and writers.
If there are no questions, we will move on.
I have one quick question. There we go. Thank you so much, Ms. Casameza. Sorry for making you come back up. So I noticed on the slide for formative and summative assessments, you have listed Socratic seminars. And I'm just curious how prevalent that is necessarily in middle school and high school. Because, I mean, when I was in college, I specifically went to a Socratic college. Everything was done discussion-wise. And so it's, I mean, so helpful in education. But my experience always, teachers in English classes trying to incorporate it in high school was just, it wasn't even worth trying because it's so different for a lot of students that it ends up just kind of being like forgotten and you just kind of go on with other things. So I'm just curious what the experience has been like with that kind of
We actually
discussion.
have some teachers who started, I know for myself, I actually once taught a first grade class using a Socratic seminar. You adapt it. So it's not exactly, but it's basically where the teacher steps back, you give the students a question to discuss, you facilitate and guide. And so if you begin that at an early age, then by the time students get to high school, they are more familiar with that. But it's basically students owning their own learning and students owning what they're doing and being able to assess and discuss topics. And we teach them from the beginning what we call accountable talk. So kids learn how to participate in discussions and conversations in a collaborative manner. And that begins actually from kindergarten.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Are there any other questions? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. As we move on to our next presentation, Ms. Caglione will entertain our next portion of the budget presentation.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Tontori. Thank you, Board of Education. This will continue our discussion on the 2022-2023 proposed budget. Just middle. There we go. At prior Board of Ed meetings, we discussed what the budget development process was. The budget is composed of expenditures, revenues, as well as the district's use of fund balances and reserves. I had mentioned that one of the district's main priorities this year was to stay below the tax levy limit. Throughout the last few weeks, district cabinet has met with administrators and directors throughout the buildings and throughout the district to find out what their needs and wants were for the upcoming year, as well as to find any efficiencies we could within their existing budgets. Revenue estimates are based on current information at this time, such as state aid and fund balance projections. These numbers will change as the budget development progresses. Generally, April 1st, we have a more updated projection for state aid. In prior meetings, we reviewed the tax levy limit and the tax levy history. This is just an overview of how the tax levy limit, the tax cap, is calculated. We begin with the prior year's tax levy. Pilots and capital levies are included in that, as well as two factors that are set by the state. One is the tax base growth factor. Ours this year is 1.0, and the tax levy allowable levy growth factor, which is lower of CPI or 2%, and this year it's 2%. After all the numbers are put into the calculation, the maximum tax levy for the 2022-23 school year is 2.27%. This is a history of our tax levies for the last few years. As you'll see, there's been 3 years where we had the same tax levy of approximately $104 million. Over the last 5 years, our tax levy increase averaged 1.38%. This year, we're projecting, at this point in time, a 1% increase in the tax levy. Going forward tonight, we'll go over specific budgets for facilities, security, transportation, curriculum and instruction, administration, regular day school, and employee benefits. So this is our facilities, the overall budget. There's not too many major changes throughout this budget line. The personnel is just contractual increases rolling over the current staff. Equipment, we did lower the budget for equipment a little bit based on needs throughout other areas in the district and prior use. Our contractual expenses went up a little bit. This does include a potential lease for office space to allow us to relocate possibly some offices and allow more to increase classroom space on our existing campus. BOCES is based on prior year expenditures and needs, and materials and supplies are just a slight increase based on, once again, the forecast of needs throughout the district. Security, our main increase within security is personnel. This is based mostly on where our current staff is for the year, as well as future projections for staffing. Our equipment is reduced a little bit based on prior history and where we need equipment money throughout other areas in the district. Contractual expenses increase a little bit. This is more for training and professional development for staff and administrators, for our guards. And materials and supplies, this is based on discussions with our security personnel, security director, as far as the needs of his staff throughout the district. Transportation, we see an increase throughout various areas in this budget department. The personnel is based on our current staffing and predicted staffing. We have an increase in bus drivers, as well as a new position for a bus dispatch coordinator. Contractual increases are related to software for GPS, as well as training. BOCES increases relates to increases for special ed transportation that sometimes we have to use BOCES for. This is based on estimates from what we actually used in prior years, as well as what we're anticipating using this year. And materials and supplies, this is based on their anticipated needs for the upcoming year. Now we're going to go on to regular day school. This is regular day school is what we refer to as, it encompasses everything except for things like special ed, guidance, other pupil services. So this is the main driver of our budget and our programs throughout the district. One of the biggest parts of the budget changes for the regular day school is the 9-period day. We're estimating approximately 19 additional staff members related to this program change. We'll also be funding for the alternative high school. Within the general fund budget, we partially fund for the alternative high school. We also will be using grant money to assist with this change in program. And charter schools is another big part of the budget change within the regular day school. For the 9-period day, we have many elective courses. As you can see, art, business, English, E&L, health, music, math, science, social studies, technology, world languages, additional support. So hand in hand, I know that Ms. Tona and Dr. Tornatori have been working throughout the last few weeks, along with high school and middle school administration, to find out what our exact needs are as we go forward with the 22-23 school year. So curriculum and instruction administration, this accounts for the personnel. The personnel within this code is principals, assistant principals, directors at the building level, as well as the clerical. This increase is for personnel is based on current staff, as well as any contractual needs we see in the future. We're currently under negotiation with one bargaining unit. BOCES and contractual services have not changed. Materials and supplies, all of them, minimal change from prior years. Charter school, it falls within our regular school day department. This is a history of our enrollment and what we estimate, what the estimated rates would be, tuition and rate times enrollment. Sometimes these don't exactly match what we actually pay because if a student comes and goes throughout the year. So these are these are based on the enrollments that we had and the tuition per student. As you'll see from the 21-22 budget to the 22-23 budget, we're expecting approximately $1.26 million increase in this budget line, or 14.1%. We calculate the enrollment for charter school by taking the existing grades and moving them each up one grade, and then we estimate an enrollment for kindergarten. So, and the rate for the tuition is a calculation by New York State, the tuition rate. So this is a breakdown of the regular classroom teaching, instructional, and support. So the personnel, most of these increases are related to the 9-period day. Personnel, like I said, we're estimating approximately 19 additional FTEs. Equipment is, there's various increases throughout all the buildings. We do have increases in equipment codes for music and art, as well as PE, and codes related to the 9-period day. Once again, this was, over the last few weeks, a collaborative effort from all the administrators and directors to try and get what their needs are going forward to fulfill their program. Contractual expenses, what's in the, one of the main drivers for this increase is increase for tuition for foster care, and this is also offset by other decreases and efficiencies that we found throughout the budget. BOCES estimated just based on current uses and the increase based on current expenditures and textbooks and supplies. These increases are all based on the estimates to meet the needs of the 9-period day and to continue providing all the services we currently have within our buildings. Employee benefits, this is another a large part of our budget. We're going to go through the rates a little bit. The New York State Employees Retirement System this year, we're happy to say we're going to see a decrease in rates. We're going to go from approximately 18.3 to 13.53%, 26% decrease. Teachers' Retirement System will be up 5%. And health insurance rates, up here I have the rates for an individual rate by month and family monthly rate. The average rate for the increase for 2022 was a little over 12%. For the year coming up, I'm estimating for the 23 school year, I estimated a 10% increase. So we merged those two numbers to come up with the estimated rate that I used for the overall health insurance. We'll go through line by line for the benefits for the ERS, as this corresponds with the decrease in rate. We see a slight increase, not pretty decent decrease in our proposed budget for employees' retirement system. And the way we also calculate employee benefits is by taking all the current staff, their projected salaries, and the staff that we intend to hire in the year coming up, and then multiply it by the rate. So it's a very straightforward mathematical equation when we do this calculation. So we have a $669,000 decrease in ERS, TRS, $554,000 approximately, Social Security, approximately $340,000 increase, health insurance, $1.4 million increase, approximately 9%. As I discussed earlier, the rates went up 12% for the 2022 school year and 10% I'm estimating for the 2023 school year. So it would be a hybrid of those two increases. But the rate might not have went up as high because we might not have as many people taking the insurance. There's different reasons, but this is based on using our actual enrollment in the health insurance system right now, and projecting forward with the new rates. Medicare reimbursement, when people retire and are on our health insurance, once they become eligible for Medicare, our NISHIP is no longer their primary insurance, but we are required by our insurance carrier to reimburse them for their Medicare premiums. So that's what this is, a slight increase in that, and all other insurances, dental, vision, workers' comp, unemployment, we have approximately a $203,000 increase. So that is all the number details of those areas of our budget. For our next meeting, we're going to go over special education, PPS, any items that were not included in the past presentations, as well as we'll go over in detail the revenue and tax levy. On April 12th, we'll have our budget adoption, May 10th will be our budget hearing, and May 17th will be our budget vote. Any questions?
But this might be for maybe Ms. Tona, for the 9-period day high school. I know we had a lot of discussion last year about getting the class size down for English. So are we seeing English teachers part of the hires in there?
Yes, Mrs. Healy, we're planning on additional English teachers in the mix of the 15 positions at the high school.
Can you tell me how many? Do you know how many, or you don't
No,
know yet?
not at this time.
Okay, great, thank you.
So, Ms. Healy, just to add on, so what's happening right now is they are in the scheduling process at the high school and the middle school, and it is going to take a little bit of time until we could see how many sections we would need, and then really take a look at how many FTEs we would need in addition for English and for the other subjects as well.
And is the goal, is the goal that we can get those class sizes down? Because, we know that we have like classes of 33, 30.
Absolutely. In our conversations, Ms. Tona and I have spoken about the importance of trying to reduce the class sizes. Certainly we know, and having taught for 12 years myself, when I taught a class of students, say 22 students or 18 students, it was very different than when I had a class of 30 students. So it is much more challenging for our teachers and for our students, and so our goal is that we can hopefully get to that point and reduce those sizes as well. But we're still in conversations, and I know that Ms. Tona is working with Mr. O'Hara as well as Dr. Hudson regarding the scheduling.
And we're looking across all content areas because in each of the content areas, there are some classes that are larger than others. It depends on student schedules and the needs for each period. So while there may be some English classes with larger class sizes, there are also English classes with smaller class sizes, as there are in all of the content areas. So it is difficult sometimes to balance that because of the needs of the students and the programs that they have and the other classes that they have in their schedule for the day.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just add on, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Caglione because during February break, we sat down every day going line by line with the general fund. And our goal, again, like I had shared when I first came to the district and when I met with the staff on opening day, was to present to the community a very conservative increase. So we went through everything and we were able to get to the point where we do believe that the 1% increase would be something that would be a representative of the budget needs for the districts and the community. We certainly are understanding of the current climate with inflation, and some families are struggling financially. But we also have some factors that have been challenging with the continual increase in the charter school enrollment. These healthcare cost increases that we were discussing, which of course should not be a surprise to anybody because the past 2 years that the country has been dealing with the pandemic, these costs would certainly increase. So there are some of those factors we are going to continue to refine as much as we can. We did share with the board the line-by-line item of the general fund draft. And again, our hope is to really get as close to as low of a tax levy increase as possible. So moving on to, thank you very much. So moving on to a few other items, very quickly, I did want to recognize that it is Women's History Month, and I do want to thank all of our female board members, as well as our female staff members who work hard every day for our students in the community. We also want to recognize Irish American History Month, as well as Greek American History Month as well. So there's some really good news that I have been receiving from the various buildings that I wanted to share out with the board. So at Pulaski, they have been working with the St. John the Baptist Ukrainian Catholic Church of Riverhead and providing a building-wide effort in collecting donations to send to the people displaced by the war and to the soldiers in the Ukraine. They are collecting hygiene products, over-the-counter medicines for the flu, and clothes of all sizes, especially those made for the cold weather, including sleeping bags, men's socks, men's hats, sweaters, sweatshirts, first aid kits, Neosporin bandages, gauze, and gloves. And Pulaski is a drop-off center for staff, students, and community members. And then the items will be sent to the church on Pondview Road in Riverhead on a weekly basis. Additionally, the Butterfly Effect project is returning to Pulaski Street School, so we are very excited about that opportunity for our students. We also have a new empowerment program called I Try Girls. It is a well-respected girls empowerment program that has made a big impact on many East End female students over the years, and we are so pleased that they will offer the daughters and the community to the opportunity to participate this year. I Try will hold an informational meeting for all female students interested on Thursday, March 10th. The program is designed for middle school girls as well. And the training program includes empowerment sessions, fitness exercises, triathlon-specific trainings, family nutrition workshops, and science of triathlon integrated curriculum. We also want to congratulate Mrs. Draskin from Pulaski for successfully organizing the Building Food Drive. Pulaski collected and donated 700 canned goods as well as non-perishables, and the donations went to the local food pantry. Students were able to receive a Pride sticker and a special treatment for their generosity and act of kindness. The Pride stickers support the Pulaski Street School PBIS Matrix, which is our building-wide framework that promotes positive behavior across all school contexts and settings. As we move on to Roanoke, this week, we are having our 12th annual Roanoke Reads Week. There's a Spirit Day every day of the week, culminating in a Principal Challenge. The Principal Challenge will be fulfilled by Mr. Payton at 2:30 on Friday. He will announce, he's been announcing the challenge since yesterday at 10 a.m. In the past, the challenge has encompassed dressing in a chicken suit and doing the chicken dance, shaving his head and the word read tagged on his head, getting slimed, getting duct taped to a post, having pies thrown at his face. So these are some of the initiatives that he's using to help promote more of our students for reading. So we're very excited about that. Moving over to the high school. So on March 10th at 2:15, there will be a student and teacher badminton tournament. There's the first annual school-wide chess tournament, which will begin on March 10th and will take place over several weeks. 3 of our students have been selected for scholarships from the African American Educational Cultural Festival to participate in the Aviation for Us aviation program. The Cooking Club and Ceramics Club raised over $1,700 to donate to Maryhaven through their Empty Bowls event held on February 10th. Congratulations to Brian Enos, who represented Riverhead High School in the New York State Band Directors Association Honors Band in Syracuse this past weekend. Throughout the week, our Blue Masks cast members of SpongeBob the Musical will be in costume visiting the elementary schools as well as Pulaski to speak with the students. The art department is holding their annual teen art show at the Riverhead Free Library this month with a reception on Friday, March 18th from 4 to 6 p.m. And several of our high school students, their artwork have been displayed at the Parish Art Museum in Watermill for the student exhibition from March 13th through April 24th. And last but not least, at Phillips Avenue, they've also been collecting donations for the Ukrainian Catholic Church in Riverhead to send overseas to support the Ukraine's people. The students in our self-contained 3-4 classroom enjoyed learning about the accomplishments of Garrett Morgan and George Washington Carver during Black History Month. They were impressed with both inventors who solved problems that helped. They loved Garrett Morgan's prototype design of the traffic signal. And for a STEAM activity, each student designed their own robot with the job to help people. After brainstorming, they sketched a prototype and shared it with the class. There was a community circle with our school counselor, which has been beneficial for our fourth graders. It has helped for the building team members to listen with their eyes, ears, and hearts, and giving everyone the opportunity to talk about and be heard by their peers and teachers. The first grade students worked on a wild and endangered animal research unit. Students read books about an animal of their choice and wrote a multi-page book about their animal. Students then used Nearpod and YouTube directed drawing activities to create their book cover. As an engaging culmination to the unit, students had the opportunity to turn their drawing of an animal into an animation, which is accessible via a QR code. The fourth grade is reading and writing historical fiction stories, and the students are well into the 200 book range for their book challenge honor roll. The Math Fluency Challenge demonstrates that many students in fourth grade have mastered their multiplication, and they are applying that knowledge when solving multi-digital multiplication problems and long division problems. And our kindergarten class has just completed their ARC unit on ecology and celebrated by creating bulletin boards of the 5 ecosystems that they studied. The students walked through the hallways to admire their work and used their iPads to go on an exploration that was created on Seesaw. They searched for their favorite things that they learned from the ecosystem, and they had a great time going on the walk, looking at each classroom's bulletin board, and then sharing what they found with a partner. So a lot of great things going on in the buildings as well. I also had the pleasure of attending the Black History Month celebration on February 17th. And I have to say the auditorium was packed. It was a phenomenal presentation. And I do want to thank Ms. Downs, Ms. Healy, and Mr. Palmer for attending that as well as other members of the community. And we also had Mr. Wallace attending as well, so I want to thank all of them for that. Just a few more items. I did want to share out that we are now mask optional, and certainly being a mask optional district, I just want to share with the community, certainly with the Board of Education, that we take student choice and parental choice very seriously. So if students and staff members want to come to the buildings with a mask or without the mask, that is certainly their choice, and we are respecting everybody regarding their choices. And the last item that I did want to share is, since I did arrive here on July 1st, you know, there's many wonderful things about this district. There's many wonderful things about this community, and that's why I came here to Riverhead. But part of my job is also trying to make positive changes for the district. And we all know that change is not easy. Change is a very difficult thing that we all have to go through. And sometimes, as superintendent, I have to make very difficult decisions, and I do want to thank the board for supporting me through those extremely difficult decisions. But every decision that I make, and I guarantee you when I say this, every decision that I make is for the best for all children in the district. And it is not always easy for that, but we also currently have concerns on the secondary level that we truly need to address at the moment. And so hopefully we'll be able to use our talented guards to be able to do that. And I will say this, every single guard is trained and is highly capable of serving and protecting all of our buildings. So I did just want to end with that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tornatore. We're going to move on to our consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Therese. Can I have a second?
Madam President, can we pull out number 1 on professional personnel?
Under professional?
Yes.
What number?
Number 1.
Okay. So we're gonna vote on consent agenda minus number 1, and then we're gonna vote on number 1 on professional. Okay? So consent agenda minus number 1 under professional. All in favor?
Let's do a motion.
We're gonna do a
I second motion.
comments, and-
We got one motion.
Second.
Second. Virginia? Any questions, cares, or concerns?
Yes, I would like to wish Sam Snyder the best of luck at his new position.
Okay. All in favor? This is minus number 1. That passes. Okay, so now we go to the professional personnel number 1. Could I have a motion? Thank you, Therese. Can I have a second? Thank you, Brian. Any questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? And those opposed? Motion passes. Did you get that? Okay. So we have no old business. So we're going to head over to new business. Letter A is approval of excess position. This is a Director of E&L and World Languages. Can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Brian. Can I have a second? Thank you, Therese. Any questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter B, amendment to employment contract.
Motion.
Thank you, Matt. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colin. Questions, cares, concerns? Seeing any? All in favor? Chris?
No.
You voted no?
I'm voting no.
Oh, okay. Chris is voting nay?
Nay.
Okay. So motion still passes. Letter C, approval of employment contract. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Matt. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Virginia. Any questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter D, approval of memorandum of agreement. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Brian. Could I have a second? Thank you, Colin. Questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter E, adoption of 2022-2023 school district calendar. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Chris, one of yours. Any questions, cares, or concerns? You both sound alike to me. Any questions? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter F, approval of contracts. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Matt. Can I have a second? Thank you, Virginia.
No, wasn't
Any
me.
questions, cares, or concerns?
I'm happy to see the Linda Mood Bell professional development on there. It's a very helpful program. It helped my daughter, so I'm happy to see that on there. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes. Renewal of contract, letter G. Motion. Thank you, Therese. Second. Thank you, Brian. Any questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter H, approval of cooperative bid.
Motion.
Thank you, Brian. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Virginia. Any questions, cares, or concerns? All in favor? Motion passes. amendment to appointment of impartial hearing officers. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Colin. Can I have a second? Thank you, Therese. Questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Approval of EBLA. Can I have a motion?
Brian.
Brian, second.
Yes.
Chris. Any questions, cares, or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter K is approval of disposal of equipment. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Virginia. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Colin. Questions, cares? Not seeing any. All in favor? Passes. Letter L, approval of field trips. These are 3 field trips for our NJROTC, who is doing magnificent at all these competitions lately. So can I have a motion, please? Thank you, Colin. A second? Thank you, Matt. Any questions, cares, or concerns?
Just want to wish them luck at the competitions. They'll do a great job.
Exactly, we all wish them luck. All in favor? Motion passes. Acceptance, letter M, acceptance of donations. We're going to be receiving a donation of books from the Town of Riverhead Anti-Bias Task Force in the amount of $600, and the books will be presented to the community at a board meeting on the March 22nd. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Can I have a second? Thank you, Therese. Any questions?
No, but thank you.
Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Riverhead Anti-Bias Task Force. So now we got opportunity for board members. Do we have any committee reports?
No.
Nope. So any board remarks?
I have one, but if you want to go, Chris, go ahead. Oh. I just wanted to share that last night I attended Dr. Dewey's presentation on the effects of addictive drugs, behaviors, vaping, and COVID-19 on the adolescent and adult brain. We were given the latest scientific data. It was a very informative and thought-provoking evening. So, and again, I want to thank the middle school and high school administrators for hosting us. But I really want to speak to something else. Dr. Dewey presented to over 1,600 students over 2 days in small groups during their gym classes. He mentioned not once, but twice, how well-behaved and polite all our students were when he presented this serious topic to them. Now, he has presented to thousands and thousands of students over his very long career. He said over 43 years. And his remarks about our students were genuine. He said they asked thoughtful and important questions, and that we should be proud of them. So I took away a lot of great info last night, but his compliment of our students stood out. And I wanted to share this publicly because I think our students deserve recognition, and their parents and guardians should be proud to know that their children took this presentation seriously, they were respectful, and they represented our district well.
Thank you. Mr. Dorn?
Dr. Tornatore, we just saw in the press about having district office swept for listening devices. I don't recall seeing a contract, even in our contracts under $10,000, authorizing that. I went back through and looked at all our agendas and notes. I didn't recall. Was that buried in some other contract?
I don't recall anything being buried regarding the contract, but since it was under $10,000, it was something that through conversation with the board, I was able to move ahead with that service.
Okay, what did that find?
So the outcome from it was that we were able to secure the building, and And there were concerns prior to that was brought to my attention from several staff members regarding any personnel information getting out to the public.
And you thought this was from somebody planting a bug in district office?
I never thought or did not think anything of that nature, but that was brought to my attention. And so we needed to ensure that the building was safe and secure.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it was a waste of $5,000.
Mr. Dorr, I certainly understand what you're saying. We do not take spending taxpayer money very lightly. However, it is vital to ensure that the district is protected because if any information does get out there that really should not get out there, it could leave the district in a vulnerable position. So really that was the intent, to ensure that the district was protected.
Information does get out, but it gets out through mouths, not through listening devices. I don't think anybody, I'd like to think no one in the Riverhead community has the ability not only to plant a bug in district office, but then have the time or the bandwidth to sit there and monitor months and months of recordings to find out what's going on in our school district.
Thank you. Any other board members? No. Opportunity for RCFA?
Good evening, Gregory Wallace, RCFA President. The association would like to take this opportunity to congratulate both Dr. Kerner and Ms. Caglione on their new appointments, and the association would also like to welcome Ashley Gabrielli and Christopher Wheels to the Riverhead faculty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Okay, so letter 8, we're going to go to opportunity for public. We're going into a public comment portion of our meeting. Although state law does not require it, we have chosen to listen to our community. You must remember, this is our business meeting held in public, not a public meeting. The board is here to listen, not to have discussions. I would also like to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any questions, comments about school personnel. That has been a law for numerous years prior to us, this sitting board. We now entertain comments from the public. We will set 20 minutes aside at 3 minutes per speaker. Please, while coming to the podium, state your name, your township, and if you're from an organization, please state the organization's name, and let's try to be calm and cool. We got children here tonight. Thank you.
You go first.
My name is Kelly Rand. I'm in Flanders at Phillips Avenue School. This is my son William, 4th grade. My daughter Elise, who is in 1st grade. We just want to say that Dr. Tornatore, we believe that you are trying to make this the best district that you can. And I believe that you're doing a great job, and I thank you for that. And I think you're trying to make the best decisions possible. However, in regards to the decision to move Mr. Crump, we believe that this is not the correct move. You did not take into consideration that we at Phillips Avenue are a family, and Mr. Crump is an integral part of that family. He has been part of our family for over 3 years, and all of the students look forward to seeing him and saying hello, giving him a fist bump in the hallway. To many of the students, he is not only a security guard, but he is a figure of safety, authority, and respect. This was not just a job for him. He gave his whole heart and soul to every student in that school. He gave money out of his own pocket for ice cream. He created a Thanksgiving food drive. He was at every teacher drive-by when school first closed down, including my son's birthday. In addition, this decision was made over winter break, which we found to be extremely hurtful and disrespectful, as we did not have a chance to celebrate all that Mr. Crump has done for our school and our students. We did not have a chance to say goodbye. We did not have a chance to give him a hug or to say thank you. And that was totally unfair to us as parents and to our students. And now we find out that he's sitting in a desk checking students in and out of a bathroom. And I feel that we could find anyone to fulfill that position. I think that, and not only are we now, more importantly, we are the only school without a male security guard. The only school in the district. This is not, we do not have a male security guard, and that's not fair to our staff nor our students. And I would like to know why that is. You just said prior that you make hard decisions, and I agree that it probably wasn't the easiest decision for you to make. But how does that benefit our students? And I would like an answer to that at some point. Not only that, our monitor from the front desk was recently moved, and now we are left with a substitute monitor at our entrance and no male security guard. We are vulnerable at the entrance of our building, and that's not fair to us as parents, nor our students, or the staff in our building. We ask that you rethink your decision to transfer Mr. Crump and bring him back to his family at Phillips Avenue.
Sir, I understand that this was your choice and your decision. You could be a hero tonight, and you can make everybody really, really happy in this room. We just ran through the whole thing with the masks. We're trying to come out on the bright side. And Mr. Crump couldn't wait to get his mask off as well. And he was taken away from us right over winter break, and it really hurt. And Mrs. Rogers and her staff, they're the greatest you have in Riverhead, the best. We are the best school, hands down. And she needs everybody on her team, and you just took away one of her biggest assets. And it's not fair to her and to our staff. We ask you, today is March 8th. You have 3 weeks, April 1st. You could find a replacement and bring Mr. Crump back on April 1st. There's no reason not to bring him back. We'll celebrate. We'll call it Mr. Crump Day. You all are invited. We'll have a big party, and we'll celebrate Mr. Crump. Please. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
We want to bring Mr. Crump back. He gave me money for my ice cream.
Hello, I'm Susan Tucci, Flanders resident. Mr. Tornatore, I understand that this was your decision. And I understand that you make hard decisions, but I think the problem is you don't know this district enough. It's not your fault, but you are being paid to know it. I know this district. I'm a sixth generation in this area. Myself and my 6 siblings went through Phillips Avenue. Since then, countless nieces and nephews, as well as my children in this school, in Phillips Avenue School. Phillips Avenue School wasn't always this well-oiled machine that it is running now. It is like this because of Mrs. Rogers, right down to our janitor, including our security guards and our teachers. You brought up Mr. Payton a few minutes ago, and it just clicked in my head. That Mr. Payton was there when my child was jumped in the bathroom. He was in 2nd grade by 3 kids. His tooth was knocked loose on the bus. He was beat up so bad. I have been in this district. I was in the ambulance corps locally for over 20 years, over 15 years as a chief of the ambulance. And I can assure you, this is not the district that you are comparing maybe to Riley Avenue. And no offense to Riley, because it's a wonderful school, but the area isn't the same. Riverside is the most economically disadvantaged area in all of Long Island. Myself, as far back as I can remember, the first gunshot wound I went to on a call was on Van Houten Street. Do you know where that is, Mr. Tornatore? Do you know where Van Houten Street is? That's the entrance of Phillips Avenue School. 100 feet from the school entrance, I did a gunshot wound to the head. Do you know how many gunshot wounds I have done since then? Do you know where Old Quag Road is? There was a murder on Old Quag Road. Not one, numerous. Do you know where Flanders Road is, just a half a mile down? A girl died in my arms there from a gunshot wound. You cannot take Mr. Crump from this district. You want to know why? You may not know this district, but Mr. Crump, wherever you are, he knows this district. And he has the support and the respect from the residents. Whether the bad things that I'm saying about Riverside, I call it God's country. I choose to live in Flanders and stay in the Phillips Avenue district, because as many bad things that are going on, there are good things. You know, and what happens when you have a disadvantaged area, you have drug abuse, drug dealing, prostitution. They are all knocking on not only the back door of Flanders, the front door. And you, like this, she had said to you, no male teacher. Now, if you knew all these gunshot wound incidents that happened in this immediate area, and I asked you, would you choose to walk down that road with me or Mr. Crump? Who would you choose? Who would you choose? Let's be honest here. There is no disrespect to any female employee. I am a female. I know what I'm capable of doing. Let me tell you, before Mr. Crump, Mrs. Trent was at the front door of Phillips Avenue School, and you did not get past that door of Phillips Avenue School when Mrs. Trent was there. But you want to know what that reason was? The same reason of Mr. Crump, the respect. These people have been in this area their whole life. They know every vehicle that pulls up. They know every parent, every aunt, every uncle. You're making a mistake, Mr. Tornatore. I am telling you, and it may not be on purpose, but you really should have asked more people than to sit him at a bathroom door. Please reconsider this.
Good evening. My name is Laura Newadomski. I am a 1996 graduate of Phillips Avenue, and then a 2005 graduate from Riverhead High School. I'm married to a 2005 Riverhead graduate. I'm also the daughter-in-law of 2 Riverhead High School graduates. I'm skipping the year, as my mother-in-law would probably not appreciate me saying it. I am also the mother of 2 future Phillips Avenue and Riverhead High School graduates, my second grader and my preschooler. Pre-K-er, excuse me. After graduation from Riverhead, my husband and I continued on in our education. We received our associate's, bachelor's, and I completed my master's. As you can see, education and consistency, strong foundations, and good role models have helped shape us and are very important to us as parents and as members of the community. In this uncharted time, consistency is so very important. Our 5-year-old son came home from school on March 13th, 2020, as a kindergartner, and he did not return to home, his school, until he was 7 years old and in the 2nd grade. One of the only things that he could count on as being a constant was Mr. Crump being there. Mr. Crump has always been there. Mr. Crump himself is a Phillips Avenue graduate, and he is a local community member. He lives in our area. Mr. Crump is one of the first faces that everyone sees when they come to Phillips Avenue. He knows each and every one of our children by name, and they know him. As parents, we know that he has our children and our school as his top priority. On February 18th, late Friday afternoon, before a break, Mr. Crump was told that he would be moved to another building without any warning or opportunity to inform our students, staff, or families. We were to return to school, our home, February 28th, without Mr. Crump or any closure to the kids who rely on him. Mr. Crump is a poster for a role model. He is a man of great character, and he doesn't realize what he's teaching our kids when he's just being him. His kindness and compassion is seen daily. To him, this is not work, but Phillips Avenue is his home and he is our family. I beg you to reconsider this heinous and unfair decision. I have watched for years as Phillips Avenue has been neglected and treated unfairly by the district. I am not the only person in the room who knows that this district has a history of making personnel mistakes. Please, this mistake can be fixed, and our children and Mr. Crump can all be back together. Please think of our school and keep Mr. Crump at Phillips Avenue. I have for you all a petition that we started online with over 675 signatures, plus signatures from a petition on Facebook pleading to keep Mr. Crump at Phillips Avenue. Our school is located in an area that still has many violent crimes and unsafe activities. We cannot lose the one and only male security guard. I stand here tonight as a parent, a resident, a voter, and a PTO president and beg you to fix this. Our children matter too. Why are we now the only school in the district without a male security guard? We are in Southampton town. We are not guarded by Riverhead police. We're on the outskirts of Southampton town, so we don't get a lot of patrol, and we're neglected and ignored by Riverhead police because we're not in their district. We are now sitting with no male presence in our school as a guard, and as a parent, it's terrifying. Why do the other schools still have male security guards and we don't? Why does Riley have 2? Why does Aquabog have still 1 guard? Our school is larger than theirs, and we still have less representation. I thank you for your time and consideration and hope that you will reconsider this decision. Thank you. Don't say anything bad. Okay. Say your name.
Hi, my name is Mason. I'm 7 years old. And Mr. Crump means a lot to me, and I really want him back.
Thank you all.
Mr. Torrentor, if I could just point on one thing that she did mention. She did note that we are not in Riverhead School District, Riverhead Town, as you know. We have one sector car, the Alpha 23 car in Southampton Town, covers from Hampton Bays up to the community college and right through Riverside. And that's another thing. If you're in Riverhead, you have an issue at the middle school, you have Pulaski Street security guards, you have the high school security guards, everyone can meet. Flanders is sitting on its own. It really is.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? My name is Andrew G. Nadeau. I am being discharged from the Navy right now for vaccine and mask refusal, so you know where I stand. I'm running for school board this May.
Campaigning. Excuse me, but there's no campaigning at this time.
Okay. Well, then I'm here as a concerned citizen.
Thank you.
From what I saw at my time as a medical provider during this whole COVID bonanza was outrageous and breached every facet of bioethics I could imagine. So I just want to ask the people up here who let our children be masked for 2 years and who encourage them to get an emergency use of authorization gene therapy, no credentials whatsoever, medically, right? I just want to ask, now that the masking is optional, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean when the state decides that it's not optional, that you guys can tell the kids that they have to mask or they can't come to school? Is that what that means? I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Is that everybody in the room aware that they intend
Excuse me?
to have the
You want to
nurses
know what
have to
optional
have-
is? I'm going to answer. Optional is if you want to wear it, wear it.
And then
If
what
you
if
don't
Kathy
wanna
Hochul
wear it,
says no?
Don't wear it.
And what if they say we're not in a low state of emergency anymore? Can they reenact the mask mandate? Can they?
Well, that's the state that reenacts
That's the
it.
state. So I don't care what the state has to say. You own your children, If the state can demand what they put inside your children's body, they own you. That's my stance, and I will fight for your right as a parent. My stance is Parents' Bill of Rights. You decide what goes on your kid's face. You decide what goes in your kid's body. I'm not playing these games. You guys can have your science. I can have mine. I'm about freedom of choice and liberty. All of you should be ashamed of yourselves. 2 years. None of you stood up. And if you did, I didn't hear it. I was tuned in. Oh, yeah? Then how come they were masked? Huh? How come they were masked?
First of all, you're campaigning again, so I'm not going to entertain this.
I don't care.
If you'd like
I
to
don't
talk
care.
after this,
If you want to vote for me, that'd be great, because I will stand in the... What I saw at the Naval Academy is 4,500 students go in.
And a lot of people died.
All of them got COVID. None of them died. All of them got the vaccine. Multiple problems.
Security, please.
Stacks of them.
I ask for to be calm and be respectful.
I'm standing up for your kids because these people are too scared of the state. I'm not. Vote they do.
Oh. Good evening. My name is Katrina Kaplinka from Flanders. There's nothing that I could say that hasn't already been said. You've heard what a valuable and reliable co-worker Mr. Crump is, and the community has expressed their opinion on the move. But what we haven't heard are the voices of the students at Phillips. Last week, the students were given the opportunity to voice their opinion on the moving of Mr. Crump. They did this through letters, pictures, cards, any way they can get their feelings across. And I have those with me this evening, and I'd like to give them to you so you can take a look at them. The students at Phillips have always been Mr. Crump's #1 priority. Some of them see him as a father figure, a positive role model that so many in our community do not have. I would like to read some of these letters to you so you can hear the voices of the people who really matter and who are really not benefiting from the move that you've made. Dear Dr. Tornatori and the Board of Education, I am a student at 3rd grade at Phillips Avenue School. I am very sad that Mr. Crump does not work at our school anymore. Mr. Crump is important to me because he keeps me safe. Mr. Crump is important to Phillips Avenue because he keeps the door safe so no one can come in. 3rd grader. Dear Riverhead Board of Education, Mr. Crump is an important person to me because he's like my best friend, even more like a dad. He helped me through my tough times. I would really like him back, especially because this is my last year and I might not see him unless I come for my sister's after-school activities. It would be in your best interest to bring him back. Dear Board of Education, I would like Mr. Crump to be moved back to Phillips Avenue because Mr. Crump is like a brother to me. He used to make me laugh when we were in lunch, and it was boring. Mr. Crump was one of my favorite people. This is the last one. I am a 3rd grader at Phillips Avenue. I'm writing to tell you about Mr. Crump. He is kind and funny man. One time he complimented me on my sweater. That made me feel happy. Now I would like to ask you, please, think about your decision and bring Mr. Crump back to Phillips Avenue. I know Mr. Crump is doing his job at the middle school, but we want him to come back. So if you guys don't mind, I'd just like you guys to maybe take a look at some of these, obviously not all of them, and I'd like them back if possible, because I'd like to give them to Mr. Crump because they are going to mean everything to him.
You would give it to the district clerk, please.
I'm sorry?
Give it to the district clerk.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Cook. I am a resident of this district, the parent of a current Riley Avenue student, and an alumni of Riverhead High School. I am also a 3rd grade teacher at Phillips Avenue Elementary School. I am writing this letter in regards to the recent transfer of our security guard, Tim Crump, from Phillips Avenue to another building within the district. Your decision to make this transfer halfway through the school year has and will continue to have a negative impact on the students of Phillips Avenue. As a district, we are moving towards a more restorative approach to education. Having participated in the initial restorative justice training as a member of the core team for Phillips Avenue, One of the most critical understandings established was the importance of creating and supporting a culture of care within our schools. Fortunately, this culture has already been established at Phillips Avenue, namely because of the attitude and actions of Mr. Crump. Throughout his time at Phillips, Mr. Crump has built meaningful relationships with our students and their families, become a prominent face within our school, as well as within our surrounding community. Mr. Crump has made it a priority to personally connect with all of our students. He calls them by name and has taken the time to learn about their family, their interests, and their hobbies. Mr. Crump leads by example and has earned the trust of our students, faculty, and staff, as well as our families. He treats everyone with kindness and respect, cheers students up when they have a bad day, and holds them accountable for their actions when needed. All of our students benefit from this stability and connectedness, but this is especially true for our most vulnerable students, many of whom lack a male role model at home. A parent recently expressed to me that Mr. Crump is a bonus grandfather or uncle figure to many of our students. They look forward to his morning greetings, lunchtime check-ins, and the sharing of jokes and stories during recess. More importantly, they know he is always available to provide support when they are struggling. During these unprecedented times, Mr. Crump has been a constant source of joy for the Phillips Avenue community. He has invested his time, his energy, and more importantly, his heart into our Phillips Avenue family. The impact he has made on the lives of our students cannot be overstated. Although his position can be replaced, his absence will continue to be felt by all. Thank you for your time.
Speakers? Not seeing any. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Matt.
Would you tell us your reasoning why you transferred Mr. Crump? Well, I think you owe it to the crowd. We waited here an hour and a half. The kids are here. I think you owe it to us, sir. You owe us an answer. We want our Mr. Crump back. You can tell us tonight. There's nothing wrong with it. We're family. We're sticking up for this man tonight. We're all here late. Please, tell us what we want to hear. You have 3 weeks. It's enough time. Bring the man back. It's not right. He doesn't belong anyplace else but Phillips Avenue. Please.
So I rarely do this, but because of the nature of the conversation tonight, there are a few things that I need to share out. First of all, it is inaccurate that he is at the bathrooms. He basically, he's assigned supervising lunch, hallways, etc., working with students at the middle school, so I don't know where that inaccurate information came from. And I would encourage any resident who heard that information to speak to Dr. Hudson directly. Secondly, I would also like to share that I've been coming out to Riverhead since I was a little kid. I know these areas very well. I know the Flanders area very well, and I also know that the Southampton police do a phenomenal job, and they are always available to protect the area across the Peconic River. And third, I will share that while, again, it is extremely difficult to make decisions, which I said earlier, it's been all over the paper about what we've been dealing with on the secondary level. And
It's not our fault that this happened. It's not our fault. Phillips Avenue shouldn't be punished.
Sir, I will gladly speak with you. There is one of the speakers. No. Okay, so I just, excuse me, I'd like to be able to respond. I am owed that because okay. So, and there are residents in this room who I've spoken to, I've emailed, I've spent time on the phone with, I've met in person, I've spent hours speaking and sitting down with residents. I will gladly speak to anybody who would like to sit down and talk to me about this, and even after the meeting, I could have a conversation. But this is a Board of Education meeting. This is the board's meeting. So, obviously there's public comment, but certainly if you want to have a conversation, I will gladly speak to anybody about that. Again, decisions are not easy to be made, but there are many pressing issues that we are trying to resolve in the district. And I did say to all of those people I emailed back, spoke to on the phone, or I met in person, that we will revisit the situation once we feel that we have more stability for our students on all levels. We're coming out of a pandemic where we are dealing with multiple issues. We're dealing with, and this is across the United States, this is not unique to Riverhead, the 9th graders in the entire United States, there is a crisis right now because those children have not spent 2 years, they've not been in a high school, they are like 7th graders now in a high school. So we have concerns there. We certainly have concerns with our secondary students who have not been as accustomed as our younger students have with what's been going on in the pandemic. So there are serious concerns, and we don't make decisions lightly. And yes, I know these streets, and I know these areas, and I know the history. Okay, and I had a home in Baden Hollow, so I know the area.
Baden Hollow.
I understand that. I understand that, but I just wanted to share with you. I just wanted to share with you that I know the area. I know above and below 58, it's a different world.
Having a summer.
I get that.
Excuse me.
No, excuse me. We're going to adjourn. If anybody wants to talk to the superintendent, it's our business meeting. We're
Mrs.
adjourning.
Downs, I don't think that's
And
appropriate.
you could easily.
Are you going to cut me off? I don't need a microphone.
My mic went off.
I don't think comparing, this just tells me itself. First of all, actually, if you knew where Van Houten Street is, you have to know that Van Houten is how you get to Phillips Avenue. You do not know that. You also are comparing a summer home in Baden Hollow to the most economically disadvantaged area in all of Long Island. You don't know Riverside.
Ma'am, I do. And
Do you know how many?
The point. If you would like, I will gladly speak to you at the end of the meeting. The Board of Education.
That's what I'm asking for. Let us adjourn. You guys can talk to the superintendent, have your discussions, or get his email him, set up an appointment to do one-on-one. He's been, for the last couple of weeks, he's been doing one-on-one and lots of conversations with the Phillips family, with a lot of people. So, first motion?
No, we don't. No, that's not ours. That's not ours.
Mr. Tornatore,
second motion?
do you understand the amount of, between murders, gunshots, victim of violences? Do you understand this? Can you concept that? Because I don't think you had that in Baden Hollow.
Could I have a second motion,
There
please?
was less than a year and a half ago on Ludlam Avenue, which
All
is
in
the road
favor?
that connects to Van Houten.
Meeting's
There was a
adjourned.
murder there.
Please help support the Riverhead Central School District YouTube channel by subscribing. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, please be sure to push that subscribe button and click the bell to receive notifications. Thank you.